Hi there, and welcome to a walkthrough of Renegade. This is a beat 'em up from 1986 by Technos Japan. It's the arcade version. It's been ported by Arcade Archives for PlayStation 4, so it's available pretty cheap in the UK and the US, and I assume in other countries as well. And going to jump into the game. And I'm going to talk through my first playthrough. It's actually a really difficult game, so on the second playthrough I may not add commentary. I'm pretty sure I won't complete it on my first attempt, and I'm not even sure I'll do it on the second attempt, but I'm going to give it a go. I've never actually completed the arcade version. One of the main reasons for that is you have if you lose a life, it tends to reset the whole level. Whereas a lot of games you just carry on from the point where you were before, so that's the main reason, because on the last level it is actually, if they hit you once then you're dead basically, so it's not easy at all in that respect, and level 3 is pretty tough as well. The other thing is you've got time limits, so there's certain ways to beat each boss of the stage, and the time limit is so strict that on level 3, for example, I just tend to always run out of time. Anyway, I'm just going to show you some of the options you've got quickly. You've got, you can save your game at any point, I believe, which is handy. Display settings, you can move it up or down, left or right, etc. You can, obviously with a widescreen TV, you may want to play around with that, but personally, I prefer to have it just as it is when you load up the game for the first time. That is the orientation that you would get in the arcades. If you try and make it widescreen, so I should have showed you, it does pixelate, especially when you're actually playing the game. So I actually need to restore that. Yeah, orientation display. Yeah, very random. Again, I think that's just because you had that option on the arcade. So scan line, that's pretty cool. Obviously on the old arcade machines, the proper ones, you had these scan lines on the screen, so if you want to that's better. If you want them on, you can. Game settings, you've got oh, you get an extra life, you can change that. No, you don't get one. Or you 30,000, difficulty hard. I should put it on easy really, just so I can try and complete it today, but I'm going to stick to how it should be. Average up, okay. It's fine, I'll leave it as it was. Button settings, I've already changed that. Always add credits to one of the shoulder buttons, because if you don't, you'll just keep adding credits by accident. If you leave it as triangle, which is what it is by default. Manual, you've got a manual there, all the controls. Brief bit about the HUD, or whatever you call it. Yeah, so if you haven't played the game for a while, you may want to consult that. Yeah, you get stupid trophies in this game as well. Where am I? Yes, 775 so far. That's online rankings, as you can see. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna. Okay. Sorry, I think I've changed the. Have I changed that? Yep. Okay.
Good luck, kid.
That's better. Okay, I'm gonna jump in. So you've got a couple of types of enemy. The guys with sticks are slightly tougher, so best to take them out first if you can. Got a back kick button. Whatever way you're facing, so if you're facing this way, you press circle, you'll punch, but if you press square, when you're facing this way, you'll back kick, and when you're facing the other way, it's reversed. This is how a couple of the early beat 'em ups were done. Target Renegade was the same, at least on the Amstrad it was anyway, and I think on the Spectrum. So the boss has now come into play, as you can see. It's not too tough. I tend to just use jump kicks just to stun him, and it does take his energy bar down. You'll see. Repetitive music, as you can see, it fades in and out, so it's a really short track. And then just punch him while he's on the floor. I've always liked that thing in beat 'em ups. Not a lot of games do it really. The ability to get down and give an extra punch while they're floored. And this bit can be frustrating. You have to get the jump just right, and if one bike doesn't hit you, there's a chance the other will. And you've also got the time limit going up the top, which you're always aware of, so I often lose a life here. I think there's five or six bikes. This should be the last one, and this should come in. And again, you've got two different types of enemy. I did hear this game was loosely based on the movie The Warriors, and from the late 70s, I believe, the movie. So I guess these guys would be the equivalent of the Baseball Furies from that movie, if you know, with their face paint. And in Japan, this game was actually, you know, all the sprites were different. I think your guy had a karate suit on, and they just changed it for Western audiences because they just thought, you know, gamers here would appreciate this type of, you know, character and enemy. So, and this was also, as I say, this was one of the very first scrolling beat 'em ups. I think it introduced a lot of ideas. It introduced different types of enemy, scrolling side to side, bosses, all that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure it's one of the first, and the only shame of that from a personal point of view is I never got to play this actually in the arcade. I never saw it in the UK, not once. There you go, lost a life. In a lot of arcades back in the late 80s, there was, you know, a lot of beat 'em ups. You always, you know, any arcade with a few games, you were guaranteed to find things like Double Dragon, Final Fight, Dragon Ninja, etc. But this one, no one ever seemed to have this game, so I'm not completely sure, even though it was made into a westernized game, I'm not completely sure it made it to the UK. So if anyone happens to have played it on the in the UK in the arcade, please let me know in the comments. So as you can see, as I said, I did run out of time on that first one. Half of that was down to me talking too much. If I'd just paid attention, jump kicking the boss, I probably would have made it. Once you defeated him, the other enemies, they do disappear. In the background you can see that car up here. I don't know if that's meant to be a DeLorean. You know, I don't know if it's a bit of an homage to the DeLorean from Back to the Future, as that movie did come out 2 years before. Should look into that really. Okay, so he's ready to drop. There you go. Try and finish him before he gets away. Excellent. And now this is the level I always have trouble with. Once the boss comes into play, I think the name's Brenda. It's just really difficult because she's very. You can't just punch her. You can't jump kick her. You can back kick her, but you can only back kick someone if you're facing the other way, that means you have to leave at least one or two other enemies in play, and that's what I'm going to try and do again. And yeah, you really have to watch the time limit on this one as well. Strangely on this one, the women actually, the blonde-haired woman, she's dead after one hit. Basically, you do a jump kick, she's dead. So she's actually an easier opponent than all the ones on levels before, really. There we go, we're down to. So that's what you have to do. You have to get that back kick in. You have got a run button as well, and that's something again that was. I think this was the first time that was used in a beat 'em up. Yeah, I'm really struggling on time already.
Giving up already?
Yeah, I'm going to have to attempt it again by the looks of it.
Giving up already?
Okay, let's try and take these ones out a bit quicker. If you do enjoy your beat 'em ups, by the way, I have already posted videos a while back on Double Dragon and Double Dragon 2 on the arcade. I've actually got a retro gamer playlist that I just started recently, so yeah, and I really want to sort of do as many beat 'em ups as possible. It was always my favourite retro gaming genre growing up. I know they can get a bit repetitive, but it's just something about them I really enjoy. My favourite's probably Double Dragon 1, obviously on the arcade. I'm running out of time again here. Yeah, I mean, Final Fight was never my favourite. I mean, it was great, but I did think on the arcade especially it was a bit cheap how you'd get onto about level 4 and it just became a bit, you know, they'd start throwing fire at you, walking on screen. You just have too many enemies to contend with some of the time, and it just seemed like a bit of a money eater, that one. But my other favourite probably is one called Vendetta, and that I would say has the best humour from any beat 'em up. It's got great humour, and I'd definitely recommend checking that one out if you can. However you get, you know, if you have access to retro beat 'em ups, then definitely one to check out. It was the sequel to a game called Crime Fighters, and both of them I think were 4-player games. So
Good luck, kid.
around the time of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that type of era, I believe, and they were Konami games, so obviously Konami have got a great reputation in the arcades. Okay, so I'm going to do another attempt at the game now, try and get to the last level, try and beat it, but it's unlikely. As I say, I've never completed it on the arcade before, and if I'm not successful, then I will put a link to a video where someone does complete it. there is actually someone that completes it in 6 minutes, and or six and a half minutes, and it's pretty impressive. But there's something that irks me about that playthrough, and it's the fact that on level 1 he has 0 or 1 lives, and then he skips to level 2, and all of a sudden he's got, down the bottom, he's got about 9 extra lives, and they've just come from nowhere. And to be fair, he does do it on 1 credit, but due to the way he plays it, I do have a suspicion he had it on easy setting, because he's able to, if he's got 2 enemies together, he's able to punch both of them and knock them down easily, whereas I try and do that and invariably fail. So if I don't complete it on this playthrough, I will link that video in the description. And thank you for watching, and as I said, I've got some other retro games on my channel now, so hopefully you can check them out.
Get lost, punk. Beat it, scum.
Giving up already? Giving up already? Giving up already?